You wrote the famously insightful book, Reasons to Vote for Democrats. I mean, it was the best page turner I've ever read.
I have written my work not as an essay which is to win the applause of the moment, but as a possession for all time. So writes Thucydides, and so say I. I had been researching the topic my entire life. As you know, I have a very long bibliography in the book, and it took me a handful of seconds to write it. We say it's a blank book, but it's not totally blank. I had to include the page numbers, in part because you're not allowed to publish blank pages on a self-published book, which this was. The first blank book in American history was that of a Republican trolling Democrats. It went back to the 1880 presidential contest, James Garfield and Chester Arthur, the Republicans, against General Hancock, and the title of the book was The Political Achievements and Statesmanship of General Hancock, Regular Democratic Nominee for President. 5 blank pages. Trump had just won. The left was so demoralized because even their hysterical predictions didn't come true. And the right was so elated. And then I get this idea to do the blank book, Reasons to Vote for Democrats. And I'm sitting there on my computer one day, it was a Saturday, and my now wife was bugging me. And she said, "Why are you wasting your time on this stupid idea? It's not even that funny." You know, I'm trying to click enter, about 100,000,000 times so I could get all the pages. I thought I would sell about 50 to 100 copies to my friends who would get a kick out of it. I thought I'd sell a number of copies to myself so I could send it out to all my Democrat relatives. The book gets up to number 6 or number 4, and I get a call from Fox News, and they asked me to come on the Fox and Friends show. Seriously? It took a very long time to research this book, and when I observed their record and the reasons to vote for them on reasons of economics or foreign policy or homeland security or civil rights and so on, I realized it was probably best to just leave all the pages blank. By the time I'm off the show, it's number one bestseller in the country, and it stays there for about a week and a half. I'm getting calls from Simon & Schuster. I'm getting calls from Macmillan, I think, St. Martin's Press called me, and they're offering me a lot of money for a blank book. Like, the only way, the book was already selling well, so the only way to make the joke funnier is if they had to shell out a really big advance. So finally, Simon & Schuster picks it up. They didn't want me to make fun of the fact that they paid a bunch of money for it. They didn't want me to talk to other media outlets. They said they'd given an exclusive to Publishers Weekly. So the book starts tanking on the sales charts. They said, "We got to turn this around." I said, "Well, I know, but we can't do this, we can't do that." So I said, if you get me back on Fox and Friends, maybe that'll work.
Again is the author and correspondent for the Daily Wire, Michael Knowles. Michael, great to see you this morning. Welcome back to the show.
Great to be back. I owe a big thank you to the viewers of Fox and Friends. And my phone starts to explode. People say, "Michael, the president just tweeted your book." I said, "No, there's a lot of fake accounts. It's not." And I look, and he had. The president said, go buy Reasons to Vote for Democrats by Michael J. Knowles. It's a great book for your reading enjoyment. And the book jumps up to number 1 again. You got to remember, at the time, I wrote occasionally some columns, but I was not particularly well known.
Michael Knowles, a man who only fails upward.
And so I'm getting inundated with these press calls from every major outlet. A Washington Post reporter called me when I published the book, and he accused me of plagiarism. He said that some liberal had published a book that was similar content, and it was called Why Trump Deserves Respect, or something like that. And it was a blank book, haha. But no one ever heard of his book, and no one bought it, and everyone had heard of my book, and it was a number 1 bestseller. The really liberal outlets, like at CNN and MSNBC, I don't think they ever called me. The New York Times refused to. The New York Times, actually. These guys, my hostile relationship with the Times goes back all the way to the beginning. They refused to cover me and the book. They instead wrote a column about all of the various liberal blank books that could be written.
"You've gone mental. I'm getting out of here."
"Fine, then go."
"I'm gone."
It was only fitting that to follow up a book without any words, you would write a book that is entirely about words. So that book is called Speechless: Controlling Words, Controlling Minds. I was nervous, though, I have to tell you, because after the blank book, I was approached by a publisher, by a few publishers, and they said, "Okay, we want to give you, another book deal." And I said, "Well, You know, you're using that word another kind of liberally here, because I didn't actually write a book, you see. So there is nothing that I have done to date that should give you any confidence that I could write a book with words. And it occurred to me that if I didn't put some effort into this book, if it didn't, you know, at least make some kind of argument, some kind of evidence, that the headline would write itself, which is, Knowles should stick to what he knows. You know, Knowles should, he's better with the blank books than with, so I really killed myself over this book with words. I mean, I finished the book in the delivery room. The book and my first child were due on the same day, and they both came on time. But the nurses must have thought I was a sociopath, because I'm in the delivery room, my wife is screaming bloody murder, and I'm there just like, okay, just one more little note. But I hope the book is edifying in a different way, and I hope people pardon the relative prolixity compared to my first magnum opus. I think for my next book, I might have to revisit the first topic, you know, do an expanded edition. Ben Shapiro calls it thorough. Dennis Prager read it twice. Andrew Clavin says the reason to vote for Democrats can be subtle and complex, but Knowles boils them down to their essence. And Donald Trump says a great book for your reading enjoyment. Read the magnum opus. You will get more knowledge per second spent reading than any other book. And I hope to see you with my sequel. Even more reasons to vote for Democrats.